Now there's a steal by BERTH. Underneath the DJ, lays it in.
Pierce for three. It's good. Tatum puts up a three. Bang!
Welcome to the Celtics Rewind. I'm JP.
And I am Nat The GM. What's up, y'all?
Hey. This is episode 17 of the Celtics Rewind, talking all things Boston Celtics. I am JP, the franchise. I am riding solo today. We had a really good episode with one of our special guests from SB Nation that covers the Celtics on the blog. Her name is Noah Dezel. If you really follow her, and I'll put it in the description, she makes really great content for the Celtics and everything. And she just put up an interview with Candace Parker, so please check her out. She is phenomenal. So we had her on the show the other day in terms of the recording, and unfortunately, just a lot of technical difficulties that happened that night. Unfortunately, we aren't able to put out the episode. So hopefully, once I reach back out to her and see if we can do like a re-recording of the show, hopefully she'll definitely respond. One day, and we can go down that road and re-record the episode so that y'all can enjoy it. So that would be lovely. I'm gonna go ahead and send a couple prayers out before I talk about the Celtics. Number one, prayers to Nat The GM, my co-host. She is having surgery today, and just my wishes and thoughts and prayers go out to her, and wish her a speedy recovery and successful surgery. She'll be back on in a couple of weeks, so I'm gonna be riding solo. I'm gonna still have some guests to come and talk about the Celtics. So, but prayers to her. Another prayer to RJ Barrett and the family. He lost his younger brother Nathan yesterday. I want to say it was yesterday or the other day. So prayers to go out to RJ Barrett and the family. So let's go ahead and talk about the Boston Celtics. So, ever since the loss to the Lakers at the hands of Austin Reeves without LeBron James and Anthony Davis, the Celtics been on a streak of wins. They were winning I forgot how many in a row. Like, it was more than 10 in a row. And then, they faced Golden State, and people thought that this was going to be the one that they're going to lose to Steph Curry. And I saw what Boston did against the Warriors, man, it was just an epic portion of an ass whooping. When I say an epic ass whooping, I mean an ass whooping. I mean, it was so bad in the first half that Steph Curry, Draymond Green, and Klay Thompson didn't even play the second half and was not on the bench. That's how bad the ass whooping was. I know a lot of people saw that game because it was a nationally televised game, but if you didn't see the game and just watched the highlights, I mean, just watch that first half full. It was just an ass whooping. I mean, the Celtics was just hitting from everywhere, like Tatum, Jaylen Brown. The game plan the Warriors came in was to let Jaylen Brown shoot, and that was the wrong person to shoot. And Jaylen Brown just capitalized with 19 first quarter points, and then Jason Tatum joined into the party along with Peyton Pritchard. It was an epic portion of an ass whooping, and that was just exciting to see, just because the Celtics usually struggle with the Golden State Warriors. Like, the last matchup they had, they were up, and unfortunately that drop coverage, Steph and Klay took advantage shooting the ball, and they shot lights out. In the fourth quarter, Celtics couldn't really do nothing. They really couldn't do nothing. They were ice cold, and Warriors just took advantage and won in overtime. Steph Curry was Steph Curry, and fortunately, in that second matchup, Steph Curry was not Steph Curry. Klay Thompson was not Klay Thompson. I mean, it was an epic portion of an ass whooping right there against the Warriors. Now, we did suffer a couple of losses throughout the stretch to, against the Suns yesterday. We lost to the Cleveland Cavaliers. We was up, and the person named Dean Wade. Dean Wade came out in the fourth quarter and scored 20 points and was just hitting three-pointers. There was no, and that's the thing, that's sometimes normal for, people to go off like that, just because you don't have a game plan set for Dean Wade. They had a game plan for Dean Wade because it was like, oh, Dean Wade, he's probably going to be a spot-up three-point shooter in the corner. We don't have to worry much about him in other areas. And unfortunately, he capitalized on it and scored 20 points. And there was no answer for Dean Wade, unfortunately. And, because of his performance in the fourth quarter, the Celtics blew that lead and lost to the Cleveland Cavaliers. Now, everybody's talking about the controversial call with Jason Tatum and Darius Garland. I mean, it was obviously, he kicked his leg out and stuff. So I wouldn't really try to complain about it, the referees cost us game. I mean, there was more than just the referee cost us that game. So I'm not really too worried about that. So that was a loss, unfortunately. And then we faced the Denver Nuggets. That Thursday night matchup, Denver, the last time they faced each other, Denver, it was a really great game. Porzingis held his own against Jokic, but at the same time, you can't stop Jokic as well. And fortunately, Denver has outnumbered. Jokic and the Nuggets have outnumbered, and they gave us our first home loss at TD Garden. And you would think the Celtics would be ready for this game, ready to take on the Nuggets, get revenge and stuff. And it was a good first half, and then the second half was just a completely different type of game. The execution wasn't good on the Celtics end, unfortunately, not hitting their shots. The turnovers was very crucial. They had a couple really big turnovers that cost, and Denver capitalized on it. Any single time the Celtics tried to make it within close, the Nuggets capitalized on it and, not let them, catch up. And Jokic had a triple-double. Aaron Gordon was really sensational, especially in the fourth quarter. KCP hit a couple big threes. Jamal Murray was good, too, as well. Michael Porter Jr. So it was almost like who was the best starting five? Was it Boston's starting five the best in the NBA, or is it the Denver Nuggets starting five that's the best in the NBA? Two of the best starting fives going at it, and Denver got the Celtics number. So it was like a preview of the NBA Finals that you possibly might see. I'm hoping Celtics will win the East if nothing really happens. And in the West, everyone assumes it's going to be Denver going back to the finals and repeating. So we'll just have to wait and see, but it's a really great matchup right here. Celtics versus Denver. Can the Celtics figure it out and make adjustments? Nat did mention something the other day while we were recording was the episode with our special guest about the Denver Nuggets loss. She wished that Al Horford could have played more minutes, especially with Kristaps Porzingis being on the court, like KP and Horford being on the court at the same time, just for length purposes. I would love to see that too. I feel like this is going to be the next stretch of games for the Celtics. Joe Mazzulla is going to find just change adjustments, see what fits, see which one's good, which one's not good. This is the time to do it because Celtics is still the best team in the NBA, number one seed in the East. I mean, they're heads and shoulders above everybody. So it's a good time to go ahead and try out different experiments so that you be ready for the playoffs if I was Joe Mazzulla. But yeah, that Denver loss, it was, we're probably going to end up seeing them again. Kristaps Porzingis held his own again. He didn't really shoot well, but he still got 24 points, 13 rebounds, something like that. Jaylen Brown was very sensational. One thing about the Celtics Jaylen Brown been playing really great basketball. And nobody don't really talk about it because they always want to criticize his $303 million contract that he got, the richest contract in NBA history, and also that he has no left hand. So people love to criticize Jaylen Brown. But when you look at those stretch of games, Jaylen Brown has been nothing but sensational. And shout out to him. And then we've seen Jason Tatum kind of slump. Unfortunately, he kind of went into a slump where he hasn't been shooting really well. And yet here comes all the haters of Jason Tatum coming out from the woodworks, bringing up the same thing every single time. Jason Tatum is not going to be the person that's going to take the Celtics to the next level. Jason Tatum choked like he did in 2022 in the NBA Finals. Jason Tatum's not the best small forward in the NBA. Jason Tatum needs to shut up and stop talking about that he's the best player in the NBA. All this Tatum slander, it just needs to stop. Like, a guy that been to, other than LeBron when he was in the East and the Miami Heat, the Boston Celtics has been in Eastern Conference Finals a lot. And you still want to criticize the man. I was like, he been to Eastern Conference Finals. He been to one NBA Finals. He made first team on NBA, and he's been in MVP conversations. I'm just glad that he kind of got a light into the MVP conversation this year, just because they have the best record, and he's been one of the bright spots for the Celtics. And still, it's just like everybody just want to hate on Jason Tatum. Like, man, what is wrong with y'all? Like, what is it? Like, he's light skinned? What is it? He shoots better than y'all? I mean, what is the hate about with Jason Tatum? Like, it's just crazy to me and stuff, though. But he been in kind of a little slumping though, but he kind of picked it back up when they went up against the Trailblazers or the Utah Jazz. I want to say it was Trailblazers or Utah Jazz when KP was out, Jaylen Brown was out, Al Horford was out. I want to say it was the Utah Jazz. He kind of picked it back up. And then he started kind of coming along now after that slump. But yeah, so they're 9-2 since the All-Star break. When they shoot over 40% from three, they are 30-something-1. Or was it 50%? I don't remember, but they're 30-something-1 when they shoot really well from the 3-point line. They're still the best rebounding team in the NBA. They're still number one in 3-pointers made. They're still one of the best, in terms of field goal percentage. They have the best net rating in the NBA, one of the top blocks teams in the NBA. The turnovers, they're pretty high in that though. So, but yeah, so Celtics is on a good one. They're doing really good in these stretch of games. Just kind of getting ready for the playoffs. I definitely enjoyed seeing Joe Mazzulla finding his confidence. Like, he's a completely different coach than he was last year. Last year he was thrown into the fire after the whole thing with Udoka, and he was just kind of he was just observing just everything. Just didn't really know what he was doing. Everybody was calling for his firing and stuff, even though that he had a really great regular season. And he was like, well, he's not really a coach just because he has talent and stuff. But you kind of see a different side of him this year, where like he's really confident and he's all for his players, which I really love. Like you seen last night, if you haven't had a chance to see what he did against the Suns, well, Royce O'Neal, who plays for the Suns, was like 0 for 9 for 3, and he decided to chuck a 3-point shot, at the end of the game, and Joe Mazzulla was attempting to block the 3-point shot from Royce O'Neal. It was hilarious, and then he kind of explained in the press conference after the game that it's just one of his pet peeves for somebody to just do something like that. And hearing, Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum really like didn't have a problem with him doing that, it just tells how much support and love that he got, from the players. And they love Joe Mazzulla. He is all about, the players. So shout out Joe Mazzulla. So I just love to see that confident side of him, even though he probably won't win Coach of the Year, even though he has the best record in the NBA. It's probably mostly going to go to the OKC coach, but he's having a phenomenal season, and we just have to wait and see what happens in the playoffs. I love Al Horford, what he did last night, turning back the hands of time, shooting 6 3-point shots, got 24 points. So they were really good last night against the Suns. They shot over 50% from three. shot over 50% field goal. Even though they was out rebounded and outscored in points in the paint, they couldn't stop the Celtics from hitting threes in terms of the Suns. The turnovers was, they only had like a few turnovers, like 10 turnovers, but that was still like good compared to the 14, 15 turnovers the Suns had, which led to 18 points off the turnovers for the Celtics. So they got the Suns number, and the Suns defense is not really that good though. And they kind of, took it away in the third quarter. And that's another thing I want to talk about too, in terms of the second half of what the Celtics have improved on was the third quarter. Because in the first half, there was questions like they're blowing people out in the first half, averaging almost 70 points in the first half. And then in the third quarter, it just seems like they just didn't leave the locker room. It was just like a bunch of like different players coming in the third quarter and just playing, and just the lack of defense, they're not hitting their shots. Now you're seeing like a difference where they just kind of be more aggressive in the third quarter, putting the foot on the gas and just, blowing teams out, or just, trying to have like a good leeway. So but yeah, Celtics is head and shoulders. Congratulations to them. First team to 50 wins this season. First team to clinch a playoff berth. The Celtics is the best team in the NBA. Do I have my doubts of the Celtics? I do. I just hope that, mentally they are there in the playoffs, and hopefully they can execute really well. The late game situations, I'll hope to see them be poised and know what to do in late game situations. I want the Celtics team you see in the regular season, blowing teams out, playing really great defense, to come in the playoffs. And I love the fact that they are managing KP really well in terms of his minutes, and Al Horford too as well. Like KP sitting out games, but like you are trying to keep him healthy so that he be ready for the playoffs, because you know that you need KP down the stretch to win the championship. And you need Al Horford to not be as tired as he was last year, to be on top of his game in the playoffs. So I love what the Celtics are doing. I just love it. So now the next stretch of games, they got a pretty easy stretch, except for maybe I would say like the Bucks and the Pelicans, where they could like, work on like different experiments, different matchups, different lineups that they want to. You want to have that bench ready for the playoffs. So, and it'd be great to just see more minutes on the bench for a couple players, and just try different things out. Just to see what can work and what can't work. So that's what I would focus on in the next stretch of games, and keep your mind focused at all times. You don't want to try to go straight to an isolation or one-on-one, like move the ball around, play in the system, play really great defense. Speaking of great defense, shout out to Derek White. As a guard, having like more than 70 blocks in the season. I think he needs more love in terms of Defensive Player of the Year category. He should be a candidate. If he's not a candidate, it's totally fine. He has to be first team all defense this season, because he's having a hell of a season defensively. But yeah, just try things out and just see what works and what doesn't work. I would love to do that. I would love to see that. But yeah, this is the time. This is the time. And I'm ready to see what they can do in the playoffs. Is there teams that can scale the Celtics? Of course they are. A lot of people saying the Knicks. I would love to see that healthy Knicks team, OG, being traded from Toronto, and then they having Bojan, Alec Burks. Like, they have like a really nice roster right here. Randall's coming back. Mitchell's coming back too as well. Jalen Brunson's having a hell of a season. Dante having a great season. So I would love to see that healthy Knicks squad, but I'm not really scared of the Knicks, to be honest with you. But could they pose a threat? Possibly, but I'm not really scared of them. But a lot of people said that they could be like the team that can knock off the Celtics. The Orlando Magic, they're kind of creeping back up into the top 5 in the East. they're one of the teams that kind of scale the Celtics just because, the Wagner brothers, Paolo Banchero, they're a really great defensive team too as well. So they're one of the teams to watch out for. I'm not really crazy scared about Cleveland. People still want to put Cleveland in terms of teams to watch out for that can threaten the Celtics. Yeah, they had a really great run, down the stretch, this winter, but I'm not really afraid of Cleveland because I just know that Celtics got Cleveland numbers this year. We figure out the problem that we didn't figure out last year, which is length. We got length on our team because Porzingis is just a difference maker when it comes to being in the paint. And that's the same thing with the Knicks. The Knicks can punish us in the paint last season, but then when we got KP is just a difference maker when he's on the floor, and the Knicks have no answer for Porzingis. Indiana, I would say Indiana poses probably the biggest threat in my opinion, just because of how well offensively they are. They can shoot lights out anytime. They're still like one of the top scoring teams in the NBA, along with the Celtics. They had our number all year, and I know it's probably going to be a different type of offense since you don't have Buddy Hield, since he got traded to the 76ers. Siakam got traded from Toronto. You have Bennett Mathurin, but he's out for the season, unfortunately. So maybe they're not probably the biggest threat, but like they're still like a good threat, in the East to watch out for. They're in the top 6 in the East as of now. So, but yeah, this is episode 17 of the Celtics Rewind, just talking all things Boston Celtics. I'll be back next week with a guest, and we're going to go ahead and get into the games that was already played and also the next stretch of games that the Celtics need to look for, what they need to do. So I'm JP the franchise. Y'all have yourselves a wonderful day. Peace, y'all.